Caves, humanity's first refuge from the unwelcoming dark of the outside world. Cold stone walls, wet with the moisture of winding underground streams. The soft breeze of cold air brushing the nape of your neck as it makes its way further down. It seems only natural that humans would crave the encompassing nature of a cave. Somewhere you can press your back to the wall without fear of something sneaking up behind you. But that's exactly why caves terrify me. Sure, the man-eating cats are out there, but you may have the light of the moon or at least the space to run or fight. Coming face to face with a creature in a cave, you're at every disadvantage. When I was a kid, I was outdoorsy. I loved to hike and explore, as kids do. Back then, I thought caves were the coolest. A pre-made fort. The only thing I was worried about stumbling upon then was a sleepy brown bear. I'd been taken to caverns and cave systems on guided tours with family, and I can't remember any feeling but awe at how these fantastic geological formations came to be. Carved out from rivers, forming glittering crystals like stars under hundreds of feet of earth. I remember eating mac and cheese in the living room while watching a Nat Geo documentary about the formation of stalagmites and stalactites. Caves were always present in my life, and up until a few years ago, I never thought anything other than cool. Then in 2019, this movie The Silence came out. I'm a horror fan, so I threw it on. Apart from being a Quiet Place ripoff that for the most part I don't remember, one scene sticks out. Pitch black, the sound of metal striking stone, a hole of light begins to show. The camera switches to a shaky POV of the cave explorer breaking down a wall. Text appears on screen. Uncharted Cave System, Pennsylvania, 1,000 feet below Appalachian Trail. This put me on edge for two reasons. Uncharted Cave System for one, no thanks. And now living in Appalachia, that suddenly made the situation feel a lot more real. After celebrating their success in finding more Uncharted Cave, the two explorers start to hear something stirring from deep within the new cavity. A screeching and festering that grows exponentially louder until the swarms of blurry creatures cover them. Now the wet sounds of meat and splatter take the place of celebratory high fives. These unknown vicious creatures now unleashed upon the world, tearing it apart. This awoke a new fear in me. The rest of the movie, whatever, but this part made me think. This could actually happen. What if some caving idiots broke down a wall and it just so happens that ancient creatures with a taste for meat are on the other side? It made me think, if the cave system is uncharted, meaning likely no one has gone down there or lived to tell the tale, just what kind of unknowable life could be lurking in the deep dark? I was now slightly off-put by caves. Then in 2022, I was visiting some family in upstate New York. They wanted to spend a day exploring a local cave, and I thought it sounded fun. It was a guided tour, and good thing, because no way you'd ever catch me spelunking. They told us it would be cold down there, and us dressed for mid-July weather thought, what's it gonna be, like 10 degrees cooler? Nope. We rode this elevator way down into the rock. Stepping out, it felt more like winter. Cold, dark, wet. This cave had a river running through it too. After meandering around the more open area, we were loaded onto these small boats to go upriver. Mind you, it was very cramped. The river was probably 10 feet wide with the walls high up on either side of us. And it slowly got darker as we drifted away from the lit up open area. Now the only light came from the lanterns of the tour guides. We came to a waterfall, which of course had a man-made barrier to keep us from going off. The boat stopped there, and the guides told us we were about to experience true darkness. They turned off the lamps. Suddenly, I couldn't even tell there was a person 3 inches to the right of me. I closed and opened my eyes and saw no difference at all. Nothing but the loud, pounding noise of the waterfall bearing down on the rock, however far below. I felt like at any moment a clawed hand would wrap itself around my neck. Then, the lights came back on. I saw everyone else sharing my expression. I just felt primal fear, but I'm surrounded by a group of people, so everything should be okay now. The guides then had to push the boats backwards so we could continue. I was imagining what it was like for the first man who explored these caves in the 1800s. All alone down here with nothing but an oil lamp? That's disturbing. That's crazy. We were then led through tight winding passageways with sharp rock for walls. The whole time I was imagining what it would be like if I had to run through here, and if the installed lights weren't there. But I survived the excursion, feeling only more unsettled by the foreign and unwelcome nature of caves. My fear, though, didn't fully develop until earlier this year. I was browsing social media when I saw a post about the scariest movie people had seen. Looking through the comments, I saw one that went something like, "My 8-year-old daughter really loves scary things and has been begging me to show her a scary movie. So I put on The Descent. Probably the worst parenting decision I've ever made. She hasn't slept for weeks." Followed by replies of how terrible of a parent that person is and how terrifying that movie is. This intrigued me, as I'd never even heard of that movie before, so I looked up some images on Google and thought, oh shit, I need to watch this. So I rounded up a group, lit up a J, and sat down to watch. This movie made me scream. I loved it. It was the perfect combination of jump scares and slow burn. I won't fully spoil it because I think any horror fan should watch it, but basically a group of women decide to go spelunking in an uncharted cave in Appalachia. I already hated it when they were just driving to the cave in the beginning of the movie. The area they were in was a little too close to home. I could practically recognize the landscape. As they lowered themselves into the cave, I was already locked with tension, just waiting for the first instance of terror. Catering to our watchful eyes, we noticed shadows or strange figures showing up on screen that the characters didn't notice themselves yet. It was beautifully done. You had to notice yourself. There was no musical cue or camera motion to guide your eye. It's like those "when you see it, you'll shit bricks" posts. Then, the scene that still gives me chills when I think about it happened. The main character splits off from the group for a second to take a look down another passage. It's pitch black, the same darkness I remember from my experience. The only light is their handheld flashlights and the ones on their helmets. She hears a strange sound coming from up ahead. Mixed in with the dripping and flowing of water is what seems to be an almost gurgling, clicking sound. Obviously not just water. The flashlight's beam slowly pans down from the ceiling of the cave until it falls upon a hunched-over creature with pale skin drinking from the water source. It doesn't notice her at first, and then its head snaps in her direction before it scurries off into the darkness again. You expect it to come at her from behind, but instead it's just a friend, for now. But you know what else makes this part disturbing? Instead of reacting like a normal person who just saw some abomination cave creature, she starts telling her friends that there's a man down here. I saw a man, maybe he can help us. Like, excuse me? That was no man. I saw the same thing as you. And even if it was a man, why would you want to go talk to him? He was pale and naked and dirty and crawled away. Nope, nope, nope. The whole rest of the movie is even more distressing and horrifying, and it makes you think those creatures are going to snatch you from behind the couch. Seriously, go watch this movie if you haven't. I do think it's the scariest movie I've seen, and I loved it. I'll also most likely never set foot in a cave again because of it. As a kid, you were probably scared of caves in Minecraft, a dark place where the monsters would spawn in droves and chase you to no end. I always found it particularly unnerving for the same reason I mentioned earlier. Less room to fight, less room to run compared to being on the surface. Overall now, I don't like going into caves in video games. It just gives me that sinking feeling like my character is going somewhere they shouldn't be. Much like my thalassophobia kicks in when swimming too deep in the Great Green Sea in Assassin's Creed Origins, and I can feel the sensation of my feet being tugged on, I always feel like something is inches away from my back while exploring dungeons in Skyrim. I never really loved the cave sections in Outlast 2 either. So, what is it about caves that makes them so fascinatingly frightening? I mean, Ted the Caver is a story widely regarded as the first creepypasta, sparking a massive internet trend. How can something so deeply rooted in our ancestry as a place of shelter and safety now be regarded as cold, uninviting, and for some, a source of fear? I think it's because of our misplaced confidence. We rule the surface world, no doubt about it. But deep underground, without your light, you have nothing. Later this year, I do plan on making a trip to the Mammoth Cave system in Kentucky. It's the biggest cave system in the world. Why? Because I love that feeling of primal fear that I just can't get out of my head. After seeing those creatures from the descent, I just feel this compulsion to go into a vast expanse of cave systems for some reason. I know I just said I most likely won't step foot into a cave again, but I suppose I mean after this one. Just something about the way it feels, like when your feet are dangling over a cliff's edge, or when you're swimming in a green lake and you can't see the bottom. 426 miles of cave in the same general area as these horror movies, and also apparently a location where many, many people in the US go missing every year. But where would we be without a little bit of that morbid curiosity? As several F-16s fly by overhead and I wonder if the apocalypse is finally starting, I'm gonna bring this to a close. Caves are just freaking scary, man. If you're into spelunking, please tell me in the comments what enjoyment you get out of it. I mean, I'm genuinely curious. I'm all for the adrenaline, but squeezing myself into unknown rock formations isn't exactly my idea of a thrill. I think I might make a video about thalassophobia next, because that's another startling sensation I can't seem to shake. Thanks for watching.